I'm going to steal it all from Ignite. I know the last time we went through Ignite, we were in the midst of our pandemic, and this is a course that we absolutely skipped. I don't know that we got. I know we didn't do the full open houses class. So this is kind of the basis for our discussion today. We'll talk about the Ignite methods, if you will. What? This is weird. You guys see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Mark, is this class about like the current open house situation, what the rules and regulations are now?
Sure. This class, like almost every class I teach, Harvey, is whatever you guys. The basis of the class is going to be open houses. If you guys want to take the discussion in a certain direction, by all means, we'll take that discussion in a certain direction. So if we want to focus more on what the practices are now, we can do that.
Yeah, I'm curious about like what changes have occurred. I'm not sure about everybody else. Regular open houses that we used to do are, are they the same? Have they changed because of guidelines or anything? How many people are allowed, blah, 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 all that stuff, because I've seen, traveling around to show some homes, I've seen some people leave the house totally open. They have some sanitizer and some things there. They're not even there. They just leave, and then they come back and close the house up. I seen one like that. Then I seen one where if anybody can go in at any time, and you're lined up to go in still. So I'm not sure what the rules are, and I was curious of what this might be.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's talk about that. If nobody has any objections, we can briefly go over that initially and make sure that those concerns are addressed. Now, as far as rules and regulations go, my understanding is we are done with COVID for the most part. We're not done with COVID, it's still around. But as far as influencing the way we work, if you will, there are no more mandates. There are no more colored tiers in the counties. There's no more PED forms. Things of that nature are now out the door. The understanding is if people are vaccinated, they are free to go about their days without wearing a mask. People that are not vaccinated, they should wear a mask to protect themselves, of course. Now, the third layer here is a home seller. Home sellers can make rules to make themselves safer and more comfortable in their process, if you will. So if a seller lives in the property you're holding open and they want everyone to come in with a mask, then by all means you can make, force people to mask up as they come in. In those cases, I'd recommend having a stack of masks for them just in case someone comes without one.
Okay.
But, adhere to the seller's desires, if you will. Now, you can also leverage the fear to get contact information that's more accurate because, people don't always give their real info and we force them to sign in. But if there's a looming situation like, well, if someone does come down sick, we'll call you and let you know. We can't call you and let you know if you don't give us your phone number that's correct. And not the phone number that goes to the voicemail nobody checks. The phone number that, hopefully your mobile number or something that you follow up on so that we can notify you in the event someone did have a problem in the house. Mm-hmm. They did have guidelines to limit the number of people in the house. But in my interpretation of that, it's a bit liberal, if you will. Because if they're saying, well, do you want to have people coming through with 25 or 50% capacity? Well, when you say capacity, what is that? What's the definition of capacity? I mean, we can throw a Project X party on this house and have 500 people. So is 100 people 25% of that? Is that okay at a time? Well, no, they're still going to be on top of each other. So it's a little interpretive to
Right.
what you want to how you, however you want to spin it to meet your desires, if you will.
Okay.
So if you want to control the viewings, and especially if people live there, they're going to care more. Like we have a luxury home that we're doing this weekend on an open house, and it's tenant occupied, and the tenants are kind of flipping out.
Yeah.
So our process there is we have multiple agents there, and nobody's going to wander through the house. They'll be on a guided tour, and then there's a parlor, like a front room. It's a nice front room parlor that there'll be someone there to take questions and intake people, and then another agent will take them around the house and then back to the parlor for questions, and then on their merry way. No one's going to be lingering walking through the house. So that was the rule to satisfy our tenants.
So are you saying that you have your own agents that would help with the tour, or you're going to allow um, the buyer that may come in with the agent to have their agent give them the tour?
No, we have our agents. We
Okay.
have our agents.
And the
So
other,
if you're there with the buyer, it's going to show with the buyer's agent. That's awesome too. But there is going to be a tour, a guided tour through that house.
right. Okay.
When that tour is over, then they're welcome to hang out in the garage or hang out in the parlor or go hang out outside.
Got it.
And with that house, it's a big house. The tenants have a lot of valuables that they're going to protect what they can protect, but they have an extensive wine collection, things of that nature that we can't have people wandering.
Right.
It's like someone walks out with a case of Screaming Eagle and there goes our commission. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and so you like you said, it's interpretive. So depending on the tenants or the sellers, then you can adjust your guidelines to accommodate them, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And the engagement rules are back to where they were. So you can have your flyers and nice marketing material and handouts, things of that nature.
Okay.
When we first opened, you couldn't, but now you can.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of agents have shifted to QR codes for the property flyers.
Right.
And restaurants have kind of gone on with this with their menus to keep the contact points smaller. So people come through, you can make a flyer, if you will, with the QR code that leads to your website. So visitors, they hit the QR code, then they register, and then they get their property flyer. And register means they input their email address and phone number. And then behind that, the deliverable of the property flyer.
Are they making those flyers through command?
You can make them through command, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You just need to create a lead capture page.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to Brian Lee if you guys have concerns or questions about how to do that.
Okay.
Or I think Olivia and Stacy might have solutions there too. But that being said,
So is there a limit though that anybody has talked about? I was just curious of how many people can enter a house at one time, or is that still up to the agent?
that's up to the agent's discretion. It's up to your discretion.
Got it. Okay.
And let's be honest, we know what's going to happen. We know if we underlisted the house significantly, if there's going to be 100 people that show up.
Right.
So if that's what you did and that's what your anticipation is, just make sure your systems are there at the house to accommodate a high level of, or high amount of people.
Mhm.
And I would highly recommend that you all team up, especially in those cases where there's going to be a lot of people coming through. You anticipate a lot of visitors. Because if you're by yourself, you're inevitably not going to get everybody that walks through the door. It'll be difficult to give everybody attention if there's a high number of people. So it makes more sense to have more agents there to have a greater capture. And then have some kind of agreement to make it equitable for the deals at on the other end. But at least that way you capture, or a greater chance of capturing the visitors that come through. And I'm excited. I know open houses are a tremendous lead generator for many, many agents. I'm very proud of some of our newer agents that were able to do deals last year without open houses as a viable source of business. So now that they are a viable source of business, I'm anticipating our success to be even greater, especially with a lot of our newer agents, because, you know, let's face it, open houses are not a very expensive endeavor. In most cases, the expense of the open house is going to be taken on by the listing agent and creating the flyers, things of that nature. So most of the cost for new agents is just your time investing in the open house process.
So what are the best times to do the open house these days? Have they changed?
No, I think they're the same.
Okay.
Saturday, Sunday afternoons, if you have a house with a view, Twilight open house isn't a bad move either. And the greatest benefit to the open house is the opportunity to market a property. All right, you secure your open house at the beginning of the week. You have all week to promote that open house. So you have a great excuse to go door knocking in the neighborhood. If you don't want to go, you can go door knocking with flyers and invitations to the open house. If you don't want to go hand out door to door, call the title company and get a call list with phone numbers of neighbors and call them. Hey, Mr. Neighbor, this is Mark Burstein with Keller Williams Realty. I'm really excited to call you and let you know about your neighbor next door decided to move. We're hosting an open house. Were you ever curious about what the inside of that house looked like? Fantastic. Come on by. I'll be there from 1 to 4. You know, people like to feel special. Some agents like to do a special open house, if you will. If you're advertising your open house from 1 to 4, you know, maybe start at 12:30 for the neighbors. And when you're calling the neighbors or door knocking to the neighbors, say, hey, we're starting 30 minutes early just for neighbors. Just so you guys can come through. And we'll, you know, provide snacks, provide wine, provide whatever incentive, if you will, to make those neighbors feel special, to come early.
Are we allowed to have wine in the open house?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Are we allowed to have wine at the open house? Alcohol?
Oh, that's a great question. The official answer should be no, because you don't want to be responsible. Have I had open houses with wine? Yes. But on that, just use your good judgment. When I did it, I would limit it to one glass. People couldn't have more than one. That way nobody's getting really drunk, if you will. But my official broker response should be no, to keep our office liability. Because, you know, whenever you do hand someone alcohol, you are somewhat responsible if they crash on their way in. But the other thing with that is, you know, the special open house for the neighbors, we're going to have a little bit of wine. It's less dangerous because the neighbors aren't going to get in their car and drive home, right? The neighbors are just going to walk across the street. Hopefully they don't trip on the curb. So if you do have something special for the neighbors, you know, have the wine there, that's fine. And then put it away when the general visitors come. Same with snacks and food. I've done cookies and things of that nature. It's not always a bad thing. But just keep in mind the kids are going to come and make a mess. So try to mitigate that mess, if you will, the best we can. But leverage the opportunity fully. And, you know, to fully leverage the opportunity, it doesn't mean show up at 1 o'clock, park your butt in the dining room table and wave at everybody as they come through, hoping they'd sign in or not sign in, or, you know, you can do that. You're wasting 4 hours of your time, right? You want to maximize your opportunity with your open house. So what does that mean? Well, you have a great chance to prospect to that entire neighborhood, right? 50 doors to the left, 50 doors to the right, and 100 doors across the street, or 50 across the street. You can door knock, leave flyers, you can call the neighbors, invite them to circle prospect, see if anyone else has a need, and invite them to your open house to share how you do things. And hopefully you do a good job preparing and, you know, making the house as showable as possible. Ultimately, the goal is to get contact information from the prospects. You know, the chances of you selling that house like a car, if you will, to someone that just walks in the door are pretty slim. Right? But what are we selling? What are we selling? What do we sell?
Ourselves.
Okay. That's right. We're selling ourselves. So when you're preparing for the open house, make sure that you have information about yourself and what you bring to the table as an agent. A lot of times, you know, we're only giving a flyer, a property flyer for the house, which is cool. People want that information. But some agents that are more successful with open houses, they have other marketing materials there as well. Any personal brochures, if you guys have any brochures for your business. If you don't, you may want to consider creating a brochure. Share your experience and your philosophy about real estate. Any USPs, your unique selling propositions. And demonstrate your abilities, demonstrate your success. You know, when you're calling your sphere of influence, you know, you're letting them know about the open house, and you're going to call them or talk to them next time, they should be asking you, you know, hey, how'd that open house go? And you can share with them your evidences of success. Does that make sense? Also, you know, you also have a great excuse, our social media warriors out there, right? To post and post regularly about your opportunity, your open house, how excited you are about being there and selling that house. Remember, guys, that people are evaluating you, right? Every time you make that posting, it's not just the one that just hired you to sell their house. You know, there should be hopefully thousands upon thousands of other people that are potentially in the market. They're going to review your process, what you're doing. And if it resonates with them, that's something that's an experience that they'd like to sign up for, then you'll have a chance of earning their business. But the best to be without demonstrating, it'll be difficult to do. So this is your chance to demonstrate how you do it, especially some of you agents that never had listings or don't have a listing that would like a listing. And you have, you know, you're talking to your sphere of influence and they may be worried, if you will, for your lack of experience. It's a great way to share with them how you would do it if you listed their house. So you want to set up a plan for your success throughout the week, right? You want to secure your open house as early in the week as possible. What's the best way to do that on Monday morning? Come to the listing club. We review all of our listings. Agents that have new listings coming on are going to be talking about it. It's your chance to connect with them and see if you can secure the hosting duties for an open house for the following weekend. Guys, if you have listings that are vacant listings, you can have an open house every weekend. If you can't do it or you have more than one listing, there are plenty of very good, talented agents that would love to hold your listing open for you. And especially the ones on this presentation, you know, they'll be excited about promoting your listing all week long.
Can I share quickly like a little feedback about multiple open houses for same property?
Yes, please.
So right now, I guess because people got so used to seeing homes sold in one weekend, I had this question asked, why are you hosting another open house? It makes them suspicious that something is wrong. You had an open house one weekend and then you have another one in the second weekend and they start questioning, is there something wrong? Why it didn't sell and you have another open house? And it's kind of, you know, funny and sad a little bit that people so used to this pace of, okay.
Yeah, you know, that's their expectation. It's your this is your chance to demonstrate your expertise. You know, why are you having an open house the second weekend? Well, we're not taking offers until the Tuesday after the second open house. We want to make sure that enough people have an opportunity to view the property and make an offer. We don't feel that one weekend is enough time to give everyone a chance. So we'll give it 2 weekends. You know, or for whatever reason it didn't sell. Mr. Buyer, this is it's probably the best opportunity you're going to have of buying a house. So I expect to see you there with your offer in hand. Make sure we don't have one the following weekend. But I mean, at the end of the day, we know why the houses don't sell. Why do houses sell and don't sell? Do we know by now? What's the number one thing the number one factor to getting a house sold this weekend or not? So we have 11 people on the call. How many are brand new? A lot.
Price.
The price. Yes, the price. The price is going to dictate whether the house is going to sell or not. And Mr. Agent, you should know if the house is priced super low or if it's not. So the answer to that question could be, hey, you know, we're not priced under market. We're priced transparently. So this would be your greatest chance. You know, we didn't get an offer that we're looking for. We're available this weekend. Now's your chance.
Also, if it's difficult to show, like I had one house that seller insisted to be present at every showing and you have to schedule the showing with the seller directly and have them in the house, which makes it very uncomfortable for the buyer to view the property when seller is staring at them.
That's it.
Yeah. So that is a big factor, I'm thinking. And that property obviously been on the market, it's a third week. So in this market, and it's a nice house, so there's nothing wrong. I think and the price is even right. It just makes it very uncomfortable to view the home.
That's it. It's a very good point. Very good point. So there's multiple reasons why. Pick a good one.
Hi, Mark. This is Tina. I have a question.
Yes, Tina.
So, very funny. I haven't ever hosted an open house,
Okay.
and if I would like to have help other people host an open house, how can I do that? I did attend Monday Morning Listing Club, and do I have to call around to ask people whether they have the opportunity open, just like I do the Legion for buyers or sellers?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And one more question, what's the normal deal you strike with the listing agent as the open house, the leads you generated there? Do you have to have a referral fee or certain things split with the listing agent?
Great question. Great question. Now, again, everything is going to be whatever you negotiate with that listing agent, of course. Traditionally, the agent that hosts the open house gets the leads that are generated from that open house. That's the point of hosting the open house. Now, some agents, listing agents, they may have their database might be full, if you will. I only work with referrals. I'm not interested in helping anyone that comes through an open house, so I don't host open houses. But my seller expects that the house to be open on the weekend. And, as we start opening up, the sellers are going to start expecting this because, everything sells after the open house, right, in a week or two. So in those cases, listing agents are glad to have another agent willing to sit and host the open house. So the benefit for the listing agent is there's somebody going to be there on Saturday to make sure nobody steals the TV and allows people to go through the house. Now, do some agents ask for referral fees? Some do. Some do. Again, this is a supply and demand market. Right now, the supply of open houses is smaller, if you will. There's not a lot of listings in general to go around. So offering a referral fee to the listing agent is maybe a great way to get yourself in the door.
Thank you.
But is it expected? Is it something that is a must to get an open house? No, it's not. And as the market, inevitably it will change. Inevitably, the inventory will grow. And my philosophy is act as if you need it. You need it the other way at all times. Because when things are not hot, then you'll still get favor, if you will. Right? It's like if some listing agents are adamant about, okay, you can host it, but I want 25% referral on anyone that comes through those doors, in a few months when we have 5 listings per agent, people might be hesitant to hold that agent's listings open. It's like, oh, those guys asked for a referral fee. Well, now there's other opportunities. I don't want to pay a referral fee. I'll just go to those other agents. So there is a balance with that. Me personally, if it's my listing, if you're holding my listing open, there's no referral fees. I have a lot of gratitude for agents that are willing to do that. There's a question from Rosemary that says, once we get to open house for another agent, what can we do to advertise that open house? Well, you can promote that open house. Absolutely. Advertise it. You can advertise it on social media. If you want to send postcards, you can send postcards too. To your expense though. I would brainstorm ideas where you can promote the listing without having to spend a lot of money to promote that listing. Under our name or the listing agent's info? That's a good question too. So just FYI, technicalities, right? All the listings belong to the brokerage. So you can always advertise the listings under the brokerage name with your info. If you want to do additional marketing, it's best to get permission from the listing agent. And again, if you want to spend money to promote my listing, God bless you. Please do. You'll never have any friction from me as long as we're, honestly displaying. Obviously, I don't want you misrepresenting my listings, absolutely not. But if you're promoting the listing, marketing the open house, by all means, promote the listing, market the open house. And 99% of the time, the listing agent should be okay with it. If you have their blessing, then it's very easy. Market the property, put your name and photo on there. And that's typical for open house hosting, by the way, right? You're going to recreate the property flyer with your contact information as the open house host. You want anyone that comes through the open house to contact you to write the offer if they're interested in buying that house. If you're making an offer on the house to the listing agent, that's another, I guess, opportunity, if you will, or scenario where you may want to give up a small percentage referral fee. And that would be a little more common, if you will. Like if you're hosting an open house for the listing agent and a buyer comes through to make an offer on that specific listing, and there's 5 or 6 others, you may get a little inside track if you're giving the listing agent a little bonus. Does that make sense? I mean, nobody's going to sell a house for any less than top market price, but we don't always know what that top market price is, do we? Sometimes you pay a little to know. Hopefully that makes sense. But I mean, ultimately, guys, the whole purpose of the open house is to get clients. So don't just sit at the dining room table and invite people in and have them, parade around the house. You want to build rapport. Make sure you greet everyone that walks into the door. If you have sign-in sheets, force them to sign in. You can leverage COVID. You can leverage just the fact that, hey, the seller wants to know who goes through their house. And they've instructed me to ask for every guest to sign in. And there's been situations where people refuse to sign in and just refuse to let them to the house. I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable signing in. I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable letting you in the house. Just because the house is open doesn't mean any idiot can walk through it whenever they want. It's not what that means. Remember, you're in control. It's your open house. If you have a funny feeling about someone coming in the door, you don't have to let them in the house. Not their right to walk through that house. All right. We want to build rapport. How do we build rapport? Ask questions. Right? How do you get people to like you? The best way is just to listen to them talk about themselves. People always like a good listener. So ask probing questions. Ask questions that don't require a yes or no answer. Yes or no questions are easy to ask. Are you working with an agent? Yes. Did you just ruin my day? Yes. Right? That doesn't create a lot of dialogue. You want to ask questions that people need to think about and respond to. What are some good questions that we can ask? Probing questions that don't have a yes or no answer.
How long you've been looking?
Yeah, how long have you been looking? What have you found so far?
How many offers have you submitted?
How many offers have you submitted? It's a good question.
What do you like about this neighborhood? Are you looking in this neighborhood particularly or somewhere else as well?
Yep. What is your ideal neighborhood? Right? The only yes or no question that I like is, would you like to make an offer on this house? If the answer is yes, then go for it. If the answer is no, well, what is it about the house that you don't like? If there was one thing we could change about this house, what would it be? You can go through Ford, right? Where are you guys from? What do you do for a living? What do you like to do for fun? Lifestyle questions, right? See if the property is a good match for their lifestyle. Things of that nature. But ultimately, people like to talk about themselves, and the reality is people really enjoy talking to people that listen to them talk about themselves. Just is what it is. So ask those probing questions and listen. And then you can provide value. There's the neighborhood snapshots that are available, right? We can leverage Command and Kelly. Maybe provide alternatives. You know, get to know what else is on the market, see what's not open. Possibly preview it so you know what you're talking about. If your house maybe doesn't have a remodeled kitchen, but there is one around the corner that does have a remodeled kitchen that's not open today. So by the way, Mr. Prospect, there's another home, if you guys are serious, that has the ultimate kitchen. I can show it to you at 5 o'clock today if you guys want to come back. Just try to give an excuse to engage with them as soon as possible. And ultimately, you know, if you've built rapport, you can ask for their contact information if you don't have them sign in right away. You know, if you do have people sign in right away, and then you build some type of rapport where you think that you have a good chance of progressing your relationship further, you know, go back to the sign-in sheet and review that information. I just want to make sure that I have all your correct information because I have some important things I'd like to send to you tomorrow, or I'd like to talk to you about these things. I'd like to call you a little later on today, if that's okay. Let me just verify that your phone number is correct and go back to that, make sure it's right. And ultimately, I think success is the greatest going to be determined by your follow-up. By your follow-up. Mark's follow-up rule number 1, call everybody right after the open house. Don't wait. Don't wait till Monday. Don't wait for them to call you. Call them right after your open house and offer an appointment to meet with them and solidify your relationship. Offer them some type of special report. Offer them some reason why are you calling them now? My biggest thing is like, hey, I thought we had some good rapport. I just wanted to make sure that I'm available to you, that we were able to connect, that you have a good agent to help you with your home purchase. We'd love to meet with you. You know, if the open house is on Saturday, it's like, hey, I'd love to meet up with you guys tomorrow. If you're still house hunting, we can get to know each other a little bit. And I'd be happy to show you some great options that maybe aren't open, but we can see them. I have the key. %95 of the agents that they interact with on that day are going to wait till Monday to call them. You got to beat them to that punch. Remember, people aren't typically just going to one open house. If they're home buyers, they're probably going to go to 3 or 4 or 5. So you're competing with 3, 4, or 5 other agents for that business. Follow-up is the key. All right, let's talk about a little bit of the logistics for open houses, guys. Park on the street. Think of it as a retail store, right? You want your customers to be able to comfortably park and evaluate the property. So don't take the #1 parking spot right in front of the house. It's not the best place to park your car. Park on the street, down the street. You have an opportunity to meet the neighbors. You know, door knocking, 20 houses each side and all the houses, you know, the 40 across the street is not a bad idea. It's a very low-key sale, if you will, right? You're not at the doorstep asking them for money. You're not asking them to change their religious beliefs, right? You're at the front door asking them to just visit your open house or promoting your open house. You know, most people move locally, and many people have friends that they'd like to move into the area. Never turn your back on a prospect. Yeah, if you don't know people very well. Not a good idea to turn your back. That goes for showing houses too. If you're showing homes to people that you don't necessarily know very well, right, you never want to turn your back to them. So it's always you open the door, let them in first. And try to keep everything in front of you. Establishing an escape route. Also a good idea. Keep in mind, right? What happens if a nefarious person walks in that front door, locks it behind them? What are you going to do? Figuring it out. Now's not the time to figure it out. You sure already know what you're going to do, right? I know there's a back door here. I know where through the laundry room is a way to get out. There's a slider in this room. There may be a slider in this bedroom. So you know exactly right away where you can go. I had a listing, whenever you get listings, sometimes you get listings in the not the greatest of neighborhoods. I had one in a fairly rough Allen Rock block. There was no escape from the inside of the house. So the agent would greet everyone at the front doorstep, because at the doorstep, that's where they knew if they were coming up the driveway, there was an escape route to the side of the house. So they could just run away. If they came up from the side, they could run down the driveway. So have a comfortable feeling for the property that you're hosting and know the exits. Also, let someone know where you are and when you'll be done. Very important, very important. Especially for those of you that aren't 6'4" and damn near 300 pounds. Usually I don't have these problems because people see me and they think twice about doing nefarious things. But not everyone's blessed with my size to deter people, right? So we want to be proactive. And again, this will go back to teaming up. They're good for safety. And for boredom too. Sometimes it's busy, so time flies fast. But sometimes you can go an hour and a half without any prospects coming through the door. Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody to talk to in those cases? Okay. And charge your phone. You know, make sure your phone has plenty of charge in case you need it. Number one, most of our lockbox keys are on our phones. So it would suck to show up to your open house and have your phone die and you can't even open the lockbox. Some little things. All right. And again, the third part, right? Pursue, you want to follow up and convert. Again, follow up as soon as possible. Don't wait till Monday. Understand the process. Guys, you're not going to sell anybody a house without an appointment to do so. So don't try. If people start asking questions that are geared towards buying a home, this is your trigger to close for an appointment. Mr. Prospect, it sounds like you have some very important and poignant questions. I want to make sure that I have adequate time to address all of your concerns. Best thing to do would be to meet me at my office, or meet me at Starbucks, or meet me at your house, or meet on Zoom, or whatever it is you want to do. But let's dedicate 30 to 45 minutes so that I can make sure all your questions are answered and you feel comfortable moving forward with me as your real estate agent. All right, that can only happen with an appointment. So don't try to sell a house during the open house. Sell the appointment. Right, once you have an appointment, then you can move them towards being a client, which is understand their needs, have an understanding of how everyone gets paid, and have an agreement that you're a good fit to work together to meet their goals. All right, our hour is almost up, guys. We have about 10 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions? Questions, concerns?
Hi,
Is
Mark.
everyone still awake, or
Hi,
do we
this
all fall
is
asleep?
Hi, Mark. This is Tina. I have a
Hi,
technical
Tina.
question.
Please.
So for now, we are okay to send out flyers, right? So
Yes.
we can just print out the flyers and have the sign-in sheets, have our open house signs, tag in the neighborhood. So all those things are back to normal, right?
Yes.
Okay, sounds great. So now we just need to call around to get a listing agent to give us some open house opportunities.
That's it.
Great.
That's it. You guys know how to do, you guys know how to look on the MLS for our listings? You know, our broker code is KWSCV, KW Santa Clara Valley, KWSCV. So if you look under listing broker code, KWSCV, you will get all of our listings.
Mm-hmm.
And then just contact the listing agent. Say, hey, do you need help showing up with, or do you need open house help? And if they say they got it covered, are you going to be by yourself? Yes. What would you be open to having me there with you, or having 2 or 3 agents? If the answer is no, then no, or offer a referral fee. By the way, I'd love to host it with you. And if I get any deals out of it, I'll give you a 25% referral fee on those. If somebody made me that offer, they'd be co-hosting all my open houses. I don't have a problem with that at all. And I don't like to be lonely. So I'm always happy to share. All right, some other ways to stand out, offer a gift. I had a lender that I was working with at one point a few years back, and he invested a few hundred, he had a deal where he bought a bunch of cruises, those little 3-day Ensenada cruises. And the cruise, I mean, the cost of those cruises was almost nothing. It was like $150 for a couple to go on a 3-day Carnival cruise. That it's like a $500 or $600 value if you called Carnival directly. So we did that. Everyone gave me everyone gave me the legitimate contact information every time when we had a raffle for a cruise giveaway. But there's other gifts you can offer, gift cards, things of that nature. $100 is not a lot of money to invest to ensure that you get accurate contact information from everyone that walks through the door. So, hey, we're going to have a raffle, $100 for Nordstrom gift card. Sign in. And actually, the likelihood of winning is pretty high because you're not like you can have 1,000 people through there. Maybe 10, 15 people through. 1 out of 15. That's not bad for not doing anything. Make $100. So it's a great way to get contact info, and it's a great excuse to get people to pick up the phone when you call them at 4:30. Right? Hey, just wanted to reach out. Unfortunately, you didn't win the raffle, but this is what we're offering. If you'd like to take me up on it. So forth and so on. No, Mr. Buyer, unfortunately, you didn't win the raffle for the free cruise. However, we are offering a free home inspection to anyone that works with us to buy a house in the next 30 days. Whatever. Come up with a good offer to get people to pick up the phone when you call them right after the open house. And go live. Great. Facebook Live, Instagram Live. Do a little walk through the house. Invite people to come down. Right? And hosting best practices. You want to welcome all visitors, greet everyone they walk in, get them to sign in, and start building rapport. You want to make sure the house is in show shape, of course. Every time I see that, I always think back to the movie American Beauty. When the wife goes, I'm going to sell this house today. She goes in there, mops the floor, cleans all the windows. You don't have to do all that. Well, maybe you do. Depends on how bad the house is. But try to do your best to get the house in as best showing condition as you can. And then think safety, of course. Don't leave valuables exposed. Absolutely. Mr. Seller, if you don't want your Rolex collection stolen, don't leave it on the top of your dresser. That's a sure way to get it stolen. Most people are good people. They're not going to seek out to steal stuff. But if you leave a $100 bill in front of their nose, there's a good chance most people snag it. So don't give them that opportunity. Let's be smart about it. Right? Don't have messy meals or snacks. I'm 50-50 on that one. Sometimes it's nice to have the smell of fresh baked cookies throughout the house. Just be careful when you give it to the kids. Make sure the kids are using a napkin and not making a mess. And again, don't make assumptions. Which means, to me, treat everybody with respect. You don't know who the person is when they walk through the door. They could be in flip-flops, a white t-shirt and some shorts, but they could be worth 50 million. You don't know. So be respectful for everyone that walks in and do your best to get them on board, signed in, and signed up. some good things to have, some disinfecting wipes, especially these days. It's a good idea to carry with you. Not a bad idea to have a roll of toilet paper with you as well. Especially, if you're in a vacant home and you're going to be there for a few hours, you may need to use the restroom. So make sure that you have toilet paper for yourself. Good idea to have some paper towels too. You never know. You can walk in, even on a vacant house. I've walked into a vacant house where the little refrigerator line starts dripping. You got a little puddle in the kitchen. You can't have an open house with a puddle in the kitchen. You got to clean it up. But anything can happen. So it's good to be prepared. Pans, air fresheners, extra business cards, battery backup for your phone, especially if your phone's a little older and drains fast. Or in case it's boring and you're going to be watching TV on your phone between people coming or calling people. Measuring bag, trash bags, and tissues. The toilet paper can work in that regard too. But that's about it, guys. I'm very excited for open houses to be coming back. Open houses is a great way to meet people and grow your sphere of influence. Just make sure that you have the systems in place to capture the lead and then get them on smart plans. And follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. And give yourselves, don't be a one and done. If you just call someone one time and you don't hear back from them if you don't hear back from them or they don't answer and then you never call again, you're hurting yourself. Shooting yourself in the foot, if you will. You keep calling them until they tell you to stop or until they buy a house. If they buy a house, then you call them twice as often to make sure they don't listen to somebody else. Does anybody have any questions? Concerns? Are we asleep? We're all asleep. I hope not. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you all and your participation. Hopefully you got something out of our session today. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you on Monday. I'll see you on Monday morning for List Club and through our various classes that we have. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.